First of all, shout out to Andy Gladding here on One Leg Up for rigging these studio lights. I love them. And on my line right now is Terminello's take. And guess what, Louis? We're going video moving forward because I think they need to see your, handsome face and your slick back hair. And the only thing missing is a biscotti. All right, so we're
Yes,
missing.
the biscotti will come later. A little
Well,
biscotti will come later,
we
around
should do a
4 o'clock.
biscotti taste testing on the show. Anyway, Lou, we're doing video moving forward, and what a great week to kick it off because it is Super Bowl week, and there's just a lot going on. But of course, the funny thing is, before this week started, we got the big trade over the weekend, and you're a big basketball guy. Luka for Anthony Davis, and by the way, they've been throwing comparisons out about what this trade is like in MLB terms, NHL terms, and all that. I just want to know: are the Mavericks a bit, I hate to say cheap, but they don't want to spend on the guy? Is that what's happening here?
Alex, it's good to be with you. And it was a shocking trade. I don't understand why Dallas did it. Yes, you heard about Luka being out of shape for the last couple of years. But if he was out of shape last year, Alex, I wish all the teams I root for had out of shape players like that. He averaged almost 34 points a game, and they got to the NBA Finals. So late Saturday night, when I heard that trade, I was in shock. I mean, there's no other way to say it. Yes, Anthony Davis is a tremendous player. He's not Luka. He's 6 years older than Luka. Doncic is going to be the Lakers' next star, as we know. I don't know why they didn't open it up more if Dallas, that is, if they wanted to trade Luka, but they probably kept it quiet so they could trade Luka without a lot of red tape.
And people have been telling me, Lou, oh, what do you mean it's putting the Lakers back on the map? They've always been on the map. Yeah, but this puts them in a different level than they have been in the last few years. I mean, they haven't been in the news like we're used to seeing the Lakers in the news. Now you got Doncic, and LeBron on the same team. I mean, look, we could be on the pace for the Knicks-Lakers final here. It could be that track we're on, Lou.
I don't know if they can get to the finals. I don't, because obviously there is a transition period. They're going to have to fit him in. Obviously, he's a tremendous player. The thing is, both LeBron and Luka do best when they have the ball in their hands. And that's the one thing with Anthony Davis. You didn't have to, you didn't have to give him the ball in every play. Plus the fact he was a rim protector. He's a great shot blocker and an outstanding rebounder. I think this trade was made to be he's going to be the next royalty for the Lakers. The Lakers who have had it, hey, let's face it, since they moved from Minneapolis back in 1960, Elgin Baylor, then West, Chamberlain, Kareem, Shaq, Kobe, LeBron, and now, there's no team, with the exception of the Celtics, that have had as many Hall of Famers and has as many superstars. It'll keep the Lakers on national TV 33 times.
Well, as we talk about, Lou, we saw Jokic get a ring with the Nuggets. I think it'd be only fitting if Doncic was in position to get a ring as well. I mean, he is another face of that league. He's got to get the ring at some point. So maybe this is definitely his chance.
Again, very much like the Dodgers have become an international team with Ohtani and with all their recent acquisitions of international players. Same thing with the NBA. I mean, Doncic is an international star. Yeah. He's a star in Europe.
And it's another win for Magic, because remember, Magic keeps pushing out all these different things with the ring, winning it with the Dodgers, now the Commanders, now here with the Lakers. I mean, the guy's doing a lot.
Well, again, it was really the relationship between Rob Pelinka and Nico Harrison, who was general manager of Dallas, is the general manager of Dallas. They knew each other from the Nike days. That had a lot to do with it. And the fact that they were able to keep it quiet for 3-4 days is remarkable. The Lakers won the trade.
Yeah, now the question is going to be, because I think they're still a little down in the standings. So how does this trade affect the rest of the West as we move forward? I mean, could they jump up to that fourth or third seed now? They're a little behind the ball right now.
They are. They are. I think they're 20. Well, they won last night at the Clippers, so they're 29-19, I believe. They're in a little bit better shape than they were last year at this time. I think they're going to make another trade before the trade deadline, which is tomorrow at 3 o'clock, February 6th. So we'll see what happens there. They need a rim protector. I mean,
now I'm hearing here on the East Coast, the Knicks have a possibility of getting Durant. Are you hearing any of this?
yeah, I heard about it early this morning. I don't know where they could fit him in. I really don't. Um,
And what would you trade Hart? I mean, who are you going to get rid of? Because I don't know who else you can get rid of on that team.
yeah, because they're not going to get him for nothing.
Right.
And I know Phoenix said they would never trade Durant, but things change. Durant made a huge mistake when he requested a trade out of Brooklyn. The Nets were on the verge of getting Siakam and Van Vliet at that time after they moved Kyrie. And I believe that Durant made a huge mistake. I am surprised Phoenix hasn't worked at all. I mean, they've been around 500 all season. Obviously, they didn't do anything in the playoffs worth mentioning last year. But again, can he get traded? He's not playing tonight in Oklahoma City. They say he has an ankle injury. Are they keeping him out because of a potential trade? I don't know. So we'll see. Durant to the Knicks. Look, as I told you all summer, there's been and right up until the last week, a lot of weirdness in the NBA.
Well, remember, Carl Anthony was actually in the middle of practicing in the Timberwolves gym when he found out he was traded. I mean, this is how wild and wacky it's been.
It's wacky, and like I said, that trade didn't make sense for Minnesota. Now I see that Julius Randle is on the trade block, but I also see that Julius Randle is going to be out for a couple of weeks. So does that take Julius Randle off the trade block? The Knicks won that trade. Julius Randle was not going to help them. So this trade with Doncic is so strange. It makes no rational sense. The Bridges trade from Brooklyn to the Knicks made no sense.
And you said that was the first time since '83 they made a trade. Is that right?
They made a minor trade in '83. I was there, and that was like I said, we don't even talk to them when I was there. And Bobby Marks, who's on ESPN, said it right away, and he was, in the Nets front office for 2 decades. Said we didn't even talk to them. We didn't call them. They didn't call us. It's just a strange trade dynamic this year. Again,
well, look at this. The Bulls traded out Zach LaVine. I mean, that was a big face of the Bulls. He's gone now, so a lot of changes.
And I don't know why the Kings would trade DeAndre Fox. I mean, I don't. But again, the NBA is interesting to say the least.
The bigger question here is, and we just saw Chris Middleton's going to get traded or got traded. Does this trade open up the floodgates? Like, if this guy can get traded, we could trade anybody. Is that what the message is here?
Well, with Doncic getting traded, that shows anybody can get traded. And Middleton has physical issues. He was a key part of the 21 championship team that the Nets should have won if they didn't have those injuries in the conference semis.
All it took was Kyrie to be stepped on, and that was the end. It was just
Kyrie was stepped on, and James Harden had the hamstring pull, and in Game 7 at the end of regulation, Durant had his toe on the line. So, and then he lost in overtime.
But even if he comes to the Knicks, I don't know how he'd be a good fit because they've already got the big guy. I mean, I don't know how that would work. So,
well, he's a closer. And Brunson's a closer. There's no question about it. He's developing to a closer. But Durant is a closer at an even higher level. If they can get him, obviously they're definitely. I think they're in the running for the finals now. They would definitely be in the finals. So we'll see.
When you were executive, were you privy to any of these trade conversations, or?
Well, I never had any input, but did I know about some situations that might happen? I did. The one I didn't know is when we got Vince Carter, and we kept that under wraps. Nobody knew. Bobby Marks knew, obviously, and I remember we had lost the game a couple of nights earlier, and we had lost Kenyon Martin that off season, and I was upset. And I walked by Bobby Marks, and the only thing he said to me is, "You'll be happy on Friday." And then on Friday afternoon, out of nowhere, we got Vince Carter, and Vince Carter saved the season, and he was a great net.
On that note, talk about the retirement of Vince Carter, what that meant to see that. I don't know if you were there for that or if you saw it on
No,
TV.
I wasn't there. I watched it. A deserving retirement of a guy who was a good guy. I mean, a really good guy. Obviously, a great player. And he thanked everybody, not only the upper echelons in the organization and playing with the great Jason Kidd, a Hall of Famer, but
Richard Jefferson.
Yeah, I mean, he played with all those guys. He worked hard. He never took games off. He's deserving of getting his number 15 retired in the rafters.
I mean, I never forget it because I was sort of around the Nets because they were Yankee Nets at that point.
Right, we were Yankee
with Mr. Katz, and we still miss him every day. But he would be up there, and then that partnership with when it was Kittles, it was Jefferson, it was Carter. That starting five is pretty legendary, actually, when you think about it.
So. Well, and the thing is, they all knew how to run the fast break, and they knew Kidd was going to get him the ball, and that's what made them great. Kidd was unselfish, the team was unselfish. When you have time, go on YouTube. Vince Carter's dunk in Miami,
right,
over Alonzo Mourning. I think it's the greatest dunk in Nets history, at least in the time I was there.
Well, I believe he won a couple of dunk competitions, doesn't he?
Yes, he did. And his famous dunk on Frederick Rice in Vice in the Olympics, and then the Knicks ended up drafting Frederick Rice, who didn't ever play for them. So yeah, no, it was a deserving retirement of number 15. And like I said, he's such a good dude. He really is.
And our friend Dave German was at the premiere of the documentary, so that's pretty awesome. I mean,
yes,
it seemed like they really did a nice weekend for him a couple weekends ago. All right, now we gotta get to this weekend because it is the big game. And already Goodell's facing criticism this week about the whole reffing situation and he calls it absolutely ridiculous, which he's gonna say. But here's my thought, Lou. I don't mind if the Chiefs win, but if they win it with clean game, not many close calls, I'll be happier. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, and I mean, I think people questioning some of those calls in the Buffalo game and some of those calls in the past. I mean, I think it's legitimate. Do I think the game is fixed? No, I don't think it's fixed. Do I think they lean towards them? I do. I do lean. I think they lean towards them this week. This is a great game coming up. Yes, we're Chief fatigued. Yes, we would like to have seen Buffalo and Detroit. That would have been been fresh and new and exciting. One of the two teams would have won their first Super Bowl for sure. Mm-hmm. But this is
even the Commanders would have been interesting too. I would love to see them in Washington,
right? And because they hadn't been there in 33 years or however it's been.
And Jaden's electric. I mean, he's
electric.
He's more than just, as you say, rookie of the year. He's MVP. I mean, that guy.
Yes, he's MVP caliber. This is a great game coming up. I mean, you got the best, and we've been saying it all football season long since we did the preview. Mm-hmm. Eagles have the best roster in the league. Alex, it's better now than I thought in September.
It's even better than when they beat the Patriots a few years ago, and of course, better when they had that matchup a few years ago against the Chiefs.
Correct.
So it'll be good, and it's amazing because Sirianni was on the hot seat last year. Now he's a game away from winning this. I mean, football's funny, and I think sports is funny like that. But here are the two things, and the personnel better than me. I'm guessing, but I want to see Saquon break out. It's going to be, and then the Hurts Mahomes thing is a attraction to the game, isn't it?
Yes, and if you remember 2 years ago, until that fourth quarter, and yes, the Chiefs did get a favorable call on that holding penalty on James Bradbury, which led to a touchdown. Jalen Hurts was in command, and he was going to win the MVP. I mean, he threw for 374 yards. He had a total of 4 touchdowns. And he's coming off his best game against the Commanders as he goes into the Super Bowl. So I can't pick against Mahomes until they lose. And
could it be the Eagles of 6 years ago or so when they pulled out that upset against, I guess it was 7 years ago now. That's crazy. Against Brady and the Patriots. Could we see that kind of game as well?
You could. Remember, in that game, Brady threw for over 500 yards. And
well, my favorite play is when they had Nick Foles as a receiver, and then he gets the cut. I mean, some
the
really
Philly special.
The Philly special. But let's look at the Barkley-Pacheco matchup here. I feel like Barkley's obviously significantly favored, but is the Chief defense going to stop him? I mean, that's going to be. What have you seen from them that they could stop Barkley or no?
Barkley, if he gets 20 carries, he's going to be well over 100 yards. I don't care who the Chiefs put out there. What defensive scheme Spagnuolo puts together trying to stop him. The thing is the Chief offensive line going to be able to stop Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith Jr., Jordan Davis, ironically, all from the University of Georgia. Their defense is fast. It's young. It's better than the defense of 2 years ago. If it wasn't for Mahomes, I think the Eagles would win. But I can't go against Mahomes. And I think the Eagles got to be ahead by 10, 12 points going to the fourth quarter. I really do. Because they can use Barkley to kill the clock.
And then they do have some weapons on the receiving end. I mean, A.J. Brown comes to mind, right?
Oh, my God. They have great weapons.
Fantastic.
Yes. So that's what I think. I think it's going to be a terrific game. If it comes down to kicking, Harrison Buckner is now better. Harrison Butker is better than Elliott. Elliott was a great kicker. He's had a bad year. So that will.
Now you talk about the defense because everybody's going to say, well, how many targets is Kelsey going to have?
Well,
Kelsey did not have a lot of targets up until last week, I feel like, but I'm sure they're going to be all over him as well. I mean, that defense is going to have him in their playbook, right? How many
catches did Zach Ertz have? Yes, I know it was 55-23, but he caught 11 balls last week. Does that show a weakness in the Philadelphia defensive scheme or in their defensive backs?
Former Eagle, by the way, who helped win them that Super Bowl 6 years ago.
That's right. So I would say that Kelsey's going to have a significant presence in this game.
And of course, everybody's talking about them, but talk about the receivers that the Eagles are going to have to look out for as well. I mean,
well, obviously, they have Kelsey, and they also have their backup tight end, who, whenever Kelsey retires, is going to step right in, and Noah Gray. And a lot of people don't give him the love he deserves. Obviously, Xavier Worthy, their number one pick, has been tremendous. And then they come with these guys who they don't throw a lot to, but the great DeAndre Hopkins will make those key catches. Schuster will make those key catches. Hollywood Brown is now back.
Yeah.
It's a balanced. Of course, it's a balanced offense.
Right, because Mahomes actually went to them a lot more, from the stat line than he wanted to. He's been targeting all these different guys, so we'll have to see how that works out. But obviously, the Eagles got here because of their defense, and also just because they have a better team. I mean, I think they have a better team than 2 years ago. Yes, Saquon makes it, but also Jalen's more mature than he was a couple of years ago. So he's leading this team. All right, Lou. So I don't want you to make a prediction, but any crazy Radio Row stuff that you've seen already that maybe we didn't catch our eye on this week?
Well, I guess some guy in Radio Row was talking to Jalen Hurts the other day, and was talking about how his girlfriend thinks that Jalen Hurts is so good looking. How do I get to be more good looking? Was the announcer's question. As you know, there are so many dumb questions on Radio Row, and you went to Radio Row when it was here in New York.
Yeah, I did. It was quite an event, but when it was in 2014. And then I guess Mahomes was asked if he could give a Kermit impression. I mean, these stupid questions that happen.
Yeah, the questions are dumb. They talk because you want to know something. The thing that I just brought up to you about that guy asking Hurts about his look, his girlfriend likes his looks.
It's going to
No,
make
he's
news.
going to get clicks. He's getting clicks. And it's getting replayed. And the fact that we're talking about it now gives that guy credit, not credibility, gives that guy attention. So
now, how about this, real quick before we go to hockey? And I know we don't really talk politics, but President Trump will be the first president in history to ever attend the Super Bowl. This guy is everywhere, and obviously, it might take attention away from Taylor. That's going to be interesting, right? How much coverage on both?
That's true. We might take some attention away from Taylor Swift, who obviously is going to be there. I don't know where she is this week, but she's definitely going to be there. And yeah, it's great that President Trump is going to be there. I think it's fantastic.
I'm surprised no other president's gone. That's very
me too. Actually, I never thought of it that way, but until they said it, I said, "Oh, well, that's right. No president's ever gone to the Super Bowl." You think a guy like Nixon, who was a huge sports fan, or Bill Clinton would attend it.
Even Gerald Ford in his Michigan, he loved his football.
Yep. I mean. No, he was I think he was an All-American, Gerald Ford.
No, he never won either, but we'll have to see how that works out. Obviously, it's going to be maybe taking a bit of attention away from the game, but we'll have to see.
Well, the game is going to be so good. I mean, you got two terrific teams. One thing to look out for, one injury thing. Cam Jurgens, the center for the Eagles, got banged up in the Commander game, and he had to come out for a significant point of the second half with a back injury. One of the most underrated injuries in football that we overlook, when a center gets hurt, because he's handling the ball on every snap.
And it's a chemistry with the quarterback.
It's a chemistry with the quarterback, a chemistry with the entire offense, chemistry with the offensive line. So if he has to go out early, if he's not 100%, that could be something to look at. But I think it's going to be a great game. I'm not going against Mahomes, so I guess you can say that's my prediction until he loses. And like I said, if the Eagles want to win, they better be 12 to 15 points ahead going into the fourth quarter.
By the way, Pat Riley has enabled them to use the three-peat trademark and all that. So
I wonder how much they paid Pat Riley for that.
Yeah, of course, NBA coaching legend and whatnot. But Lou, I got to ask you this because I always have you on for the history of all of this. Your favorite Super Bowl moment? I know mine because it happened 17 years ago with Ty.
Well, my favorite Super Bowl moment is easy. January 12th, 1969.
Yes, that's right.
17-point underdogs. And, they beat the Colts 16-7. It changed pro football. I don't know if the Super Bowl would have been what it is today without that victory. It was a thrilling win. It was the first win for the AFL against the NFL. And the Packers had won the previous two Super Bowls. And they had won the last year of the non-Super Bowl era. And I'm going to give you a little history lesson on that. When they won the first one, this was the last non-era Super Bowl year, they tied for the Western Conference Championship with the Baltimore Colts. The Colts had no quarterback. Both their quarterbacks, Johnny Unitas and Gary Quazzo from New Jersey, from the Jersey Shore, got injured. They had to play Tom Matte, their running back, as quarterback in the playoff game because they both finished tied for first. Alex, in those days, there was no wild cards. You finished first, you moved on. So they played Green Bay to break the tie, and the winner would be playing the Jimmy Brown and Cleveland Browns the next week. Okay. So it's 10 to somehow the Colts are winning 10-7 with no quarterback. They returned a Bart Starr fumble for a touchdown. Shinnick, the linebacker, Don Shinnick, the linebacker, returned for a touchdown. On the play, Bart Starr got injured. Their backup quarterback, Zeke Bratkowski, came in, finished the game. Now, Zeke Bratkowski was a very, very good backup quarterback. Well, it's 10-7, late in the game. Don Chandler, who used to play for the Giants, now was the kicker for the Packers, lined up for a field goal. I think it was 37 yards. In those days, the goalposts were on the goal line, not at the back of the end zone. Alex, he missed wide right, but the officials under the goalposts called it good. So instead, and they should have lost the game 10-7. Chandler, if you ever look at it on YouTube, as soon as he kicked it, you could see that in his body language, he knew that he missed it. And long story short, in overtime, Green Bay wins it, or else they would not have won 3 NFL championships in a row. So just a little trivia and a little bit of history there.
Wow, that is I mean, that's not even human, that's just human error right there. That's not even
it was human error. And if you look at NFL films and they have the camera behind the goalpost, you can see it was wide right. Which actually led to them the next year making the goalpost higher.
By the way, shout out to the Ravens, because the Colts are still memorialized in Baltimore. You know, they still have those guys dressed up in old Colts uniforms. It's very interesting.
Well, I think they still use the old Colts marching band too.
Maybe so. Yeah. Now, here's the other hot topic this week. Bill Belichick, amongst others, are calling for the Lombardi Trophy to be called the Brady Trophy. Have you ever heard about this?
Yes, I have.
And doesn't it drive you nuts? I mean, I am against this.
No, you're 100% correct. Vince Lombardi obviously is one of the reasons why the NFL is what the NFL is today. He won the first 2 Super Bowls. It's the Lombardi Trophy, and it should be 100 years from now. It should be the Lombardi Trophy. Give Brady something. Should Brady get recognized? I don't know. Give an award and attach the name to his name, to
the Brady MVP or something like
that. Something like that. Again, but the Lombardi Trophy is, in my opinion, sacrosanct. It really is.
Untouchable.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll have to see what happens this weekend. Before I let you go, though, Lou, this week also we got the Rangers heating up every day. We've talked about them a little bit, but we're almost at that 4 Nations tournament. So Rangers are in really good shape heading to this tournament break, aren't they?
Well, they are. They've played better. Obviously, last week we talked about the chaos in the Vancouver locker room, and since we spoke last, Vancouver took care of that issue by trading JT Miller to the Rangers. The Rangers have won that trade. Yes, Filipino is a very good player, but he's not on that level, and he's injury prone, and he's had concussion. So who knows? Hopefully, he'll be healthy. JT Miller is what the Rangers needed, I think. We'll see. He gives them scoring touch. He scored 100 points last year, and he scored 99, I think, the year before. He's physical.
Mm-hmm.
He's Matt Rempe with talent.
I know. You told me that off air, too. But he also is a legacy player. I mean, he was on the Rangers and became beloved here, believe it or not, before he got traded. I mean, the guy was the future of the Rangers at one point. Now he's back in a maybe more veteran role than he had when he first was on the Rangers. I got to say this real quick before I lose my mind. Back to football real quick, is that it'd be interesting the NFC East once again won the Super Bowl against these dynastic teams. I feel like we're the best conference because we always beat these dynasty teams. I don't know what it is, Louis, but.
Well, that would be another NFC East team beating a team that has established a destiny. But getting back to the Rangers, they're 7 points out of a playoff spot now. They have games in hand on Boston. I believe they have 3 on Boston. I think they have 1 on Tampa. And tonight they play Boston, as we're recording this on. Everybody, we're recording this on Wednesday.
Right.
So they got to win games, but their margin for error is thin. Just like for the Islanders, who have somehow won 11 out of 14 with all kinds of injuries.
It's Patrick Wolfek, man. I love that guy. He can coach his way out of a paper bag because he's that good of a coach.
Well, right now he's doing that because he doesn't have his best offensive player, and who knows, he may not have him for the rest of the year. I don't know if Barzell, when he blocked that shot the other night in Tampa, broke his kneecap, but the NHL never tells you about injuries. And they're down defensemen. So that you're right. Waz done a tremendous job. Sorokin's been fantastic.
Yeah.
for them, and we'll see. I don't think they're going to make it. I don't know if the Rangers are going to make it. I mean, I
Right.
really don't. And we'll see. The trade deadline's March 7th, so we'll see what they do. Or even the Devils. See what the Devils, Islanders, and Rangers do as they come up towards the trade deadline. But makes it for an interesting post Four Nations tournament.
And the Devils are such an interesting team because with Hughes, they're there. I mean, they're right there. I feel like
they're right there. My worry for the Devils, they have tons of talent. Are they mature enough?
Nico Hornan, man, he is another guy. I say the future of the Red Devils.
Yeah, no, and he's injured right now. They got to get Heischer back, and they probably will. Well, they will. Actually, that break helps a lot of the teams. They got to get Jacob Markstrom back.
And Mika's playing in the Four Nations. Maybe they'll help get his shot back a little bit.
I think there's 4 Rangers in the Four Nations. So and only Brock Nelson's playing for Team USA for the Islanders. Of course, Jack Hughes is playing. And
I was looking at tickets. It's expensive to get to these games. By the way, it's not a walk.
Yeah, no, it's like a Stanley Cup final. Every one of those games. Yeah.
Well, my dad in '96 when they did the World Cup. He took me to Montreal, which I see is is a venue for this. And he took me down to Philly, and we were behind the Swedish bench. Speaking of Zibanejad, we're behind the Swedish bench, and the coach reaches over and gives me a little pin of the Swedish flag. That was pretty cool.
I went to game 1, USA against Canada, and it was the only game in the 2 out of 3 that USA lost when Canada was blatantly, there was no replay in those days. Blatantly offside, scored the winning goal in overtime, and then nobody thought that USA would win both games in Montreal, and they did. And Richter was spectacular. He was the MVP of the tournament.
By the way, shout out to the juniors who won their, gold.
They did. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And that, when you're watching hockey and you're a big fan, you follow that because you want to see what the kids are that are up and coming, right?
And some guys are drafted by the Islanders, some guys are drafted by the Rangers, some by the Devils. So, yeah, you have an interest that way. And USA won back-to-back. So,
very interesting. All right, one last thing before we end today. When are these leagues going to realize linking with betting is not the answer? Is it going to take an MLB player being suspended again and maybe kicked out of the league? Now it's happening in the umpiring world with the guy who called the perfect game as an umpire. I've never heard that one before until recently. But when are these leagues going to learn, Lou? You can't match up and then expect these guys not to do something.
It's really unbelievable how they have allowed betting to become such a part of sports. And I know I mentioned this to you in the past. Back in the early 90s, when New Jersey wanted to legalize sports betting, David Stern had us write a letter to Senator Bill Bradley, former NBA player, former Nick Great, Hall of Famer, to fight against sports betting. And there was no sports betting in New Jersey. Now you see it on TV. You see it during games. If you go on ESPN, if you go onto the ESPN website, they're more talking about Mahomes versus Jalen Hurts on a betting angle than on what's going to happen during the game on the field. It's really disconcerting. And yes, there's no doubt about it. You're going to see more and more people involved in the game, players, coaches, umpires, who are going to maybe step over the line and might even commit some kind of a betting violation as far as league rules go that they're not even aware about. Yes, it's a problem. It's a problem.
And I always go back to this. The first MLB team to open up a sports book in their stadium was Cincinnati. Okay, that is just egregious.
Did Pete Rose file the first bet?
Oh man, and I know that debate's going to keep. We just were at Hall of Fame signings, and Pete Rose is really good at those different events. He'd go out to all these different things.
Oh, he was great.
Fans love him, man. The fans loved him.
Do I think he paid his debt to society? should he be put in the Hall of Fame before he passed away? There's no doubt about it. I do. But let's face it. There's guys in there who had questionable character, doing
And
worse things than Pete Rose did.
knowing that this guy got fired, right, as an MLB umpire, does that concern you that we have to look closely at how they call these games now? Is that going to be a scrutiny now? Or?
Well, it puts something in every fan's mind. That's for sure. No question about that. Absolutely, it does. And I think
the
that's
second time in my lifetime a ref or an umpire has been fired. Thinking about the Donahue scandal too. I mean, it goes on, and probably we don't even know about it. So
it does go on. I mean, and that is the worst thing that can happen to a sport. Look, if we think the NFL, the NBA, any pro league is like world wrestling, it will never watch it again. One of the reasons we watch these games is because it's reality TV. Sports is the original reality television. Yeah. That's why we love it. But if we knew it was being rigged.
Look at this. If we knew every umpire was trying to avoid the seventh inning because Reggie Jackson was about to assassinate the Queen, we'd be.
That is correct.
That's what I think of it. Rico Palazzo. I mean, come on. and like the vision I had was Hoberg behind home plate. Not to make light of this, but was like a gun to his head to make every call perfect. Like what was going on with that?
A great scene in a great movie.
Oh my God, fantastic! All right, Lou. On that note, Terminello's take. The big game, the Super Bowl coming up this weekend. You'll be watching from home, I'm guessing, right?
I will be.
You're not checking to FanFest presented by Verizon at MetLife Stadium.
I'm not doing that because I like to concentrate on the game, and that's.
And you're a note taker, right? So you literally write notes.
I'll take notes. I will take some notes.
Now you got a podcast to come to talk about it. How cool is that?
Absolutely.
All right, Louis.
All right,
another week of Terminello's Take. We're in February. Where do we go? How fast is this going? So
thanks, Alex.
Thank you. Talk to you later on the One Leg Up Network.